welcome to the very first episode of the GeeView, where a confused Kirin Vtuber talks about films and stuff. Streaming all the way from the Raving Mountains, it's your girl, the Kirin Lord Giraffes.
Yeah! Yep, that's me.
So you're probably wondering, why am I doing this? Well, I decided to start doing movie reviews because, fun fact, I love watching movies.
I love movies. Gosh, I love movies.
If I'm not streaming or busy taking care of the Kirin Sect, you'll find me here in my beautiful lounge, watching a film or a show, or probably anime, it really depends. So as you can see, these are three of my favorite movies, Hacksaw Ridge, The Dark Crystal, and The Tropic Thunder, so that gives me some rights to talk about movies, right? So today, we're here to discuss about the 2020 Korean-American film Minari, which I recently watched in the cinema, and yeah, let's get it on with it. Let's get on with it. That's probably the right English. Oh, why am I even doing this? Jesus. So I recently watched this film in the cinema, and it was only recently released where I'm from. And I had like seen trailers for the film when I was watching the Kimetsu no Yaiba movie, and immediately I noted down the release date when I saw the A24 logo and Steven Yeun.
You are gay.
The film has a very notable cast, as mentioned, Steven Yeun, Yeri, veteran Korean actress Youn Yuh-jung, I hope I didn't butcher that name,
Youn Yuh-jung,
who I really enjoyed watching in one of the Master in the House episodes.
뭘 봐? 뭘 봐?
And also rising star Alan Kim, Noel, Kate Cho, and Will Pattton. The film is also directed by a Korean-American director, Lee Isaac Chung, who has done award-winning films such as Rangabo, I think I said that right, Lucky Born, and I Have Seen My Last Born. He's also working on a live-action remake of the widely known anime feature film, Your Name, which is still in production. Let's just all pray a collective prayer that it doesn't fall into the Western live-action adaptation curse, as you have seen from previous attempts. So, to keep the story simple, the film is set in the 80s in Arkansas, USA. A Korean-American family, the Yi family, moves into a farm as they search for better opportunities and a better future. The head of the family, Jacob Yi, is played by Steven Yeun, and he is trying to build a farm and grow crops so that he can sell to various vendors in Dallas, so that he and his wife, Monica Yi, can stop working sexing chicks at nearby hatchery. However, Monica is not fond of the new place and is also worried about her son David, who has a heart condition. So to help watch the kids during the day, Jacob and Monica had Monica's mom move in with them from South Korea and forces David to share his room with her. Well, needless to say, David is not very fond of that idea. Throughout the story, the family find themselves in various struggles and adversities as their resilience and unity as a family is tested. Okay, so what do I think about the film? I love it! A24 has an impressive production in all of their films, and Minari is no less than perfect. It captures a realistic portrait of a family who are struggling to find stability in the midst of nowhere. Steven Yeun and Yeri play their characters really well and really portray the internal strife between husband and wife fabulously. This film is a great example of showing and not telling. The characters don't even have to say a word, and you know the feelings they have for each other. Though the film is mainly in Korean, some English words are thrown here and there, obviously because it is a Korean-American film set in Arkansas, USA. The grandma, mother, and father speak mainly Korean with some occasional English when they either spoke with the children or the nearby residents.
Strong boy.
Whereas the children spoke with a mix of two languages, Korean and English. So languages and cultures are both merged together, and it becomes hard to identify which culture the Yi family belong to. Are they Korean or are they American? There is a loss of identity, and that is evident for most Asian Americans or even biracial individuals in our society, let alone a Korean American immigrant family in Arkansas, USA. And heck, sometimes even I find myself confused with my own identity, and I'm not even set in a location where it's like Arkansas, USA with a Korean American family. But even though there were situations in the movie that made me want to pull my hair out because of anxiety and relatability, there were some scenes that were straight up comedy at its best. Youn Yuh-jung really captures that funny and witty essence of a Korean grandma. It was a joy watching a confused South Korean grandma adjusting to the American or westernized lifestyle while still retaining her own culture. She's not what your typical status quo grandma is like at all. And here, David says it the best.
이게 뭔데?
쿠키도 만들고 나쁜 말도 안 했고 남자 팬티도 안 입고
She drinks, she plays cards, she cannot cook, but you can feel the unconditional love she has for the Yi family, and that transcends through the screen. So from here on out, I'll be talking about the last part of the film. So if you want to avoid spoilers and watch this movie for yourself, which I highly recommend, you can skip ahead to this time, so to avoid the spoilers. Alright, so the climax of the film. It was really intense. At that point, the argument between Jacob and Monica is already at a height because of the suppressed emotions they were both hiding throughout the film, and they have declared that they were going to separate and go their own ways. At that point, I was cringing in pain and sighing at the outcome of the relationship with the two, and was just expecting the family to just fall apart because, as most A24 movies do, the movies end on a bad note. And it suddenly cuts to the grandma burning trash in a barrel, and unexpectedly, a piece of trash floats out of the barrel and starts a fire that spreads to the nearby produce house that Jacob has placed all of his crops in. So at this point, we as an audience know that just before this entire thing happened, Jacob has secured a deal with a vendor and is about to earn his first profit for the farm. And then this shit happens. I screamed internally, obviously. I know my cinema etiquette. So cut to the family, driving back with their feelings hurt, resigning to the inevitable fate of falling apart, and that apparently work is much more important than family. So and then the fire engulfs most of the produce shack already, and grandma watches in horrified at what she had done. Jacob sees the burning shack and immediately rushes in to grab whatever produce he can save. Monica also rushes in to help her husband, whereas the children try to bring grandma back to the house. But grandma, in the midst of a shock, starts walking away from the family. Eventually, Jacob and Monica couldn't save the produce, so they each save themselves and manages to escape being burned alive. They both witness as the flames engulf the shack, as their hard work goes up in literal flames. The children also manages to stop grandma from leaving and brings her back to the house safe and sound. And then it cuts to the next morning. The Yi family all sleeping together, knocked out, tired, still in their dirty outfits from the previous day, as grandma watches them, crying as tears wells up in her eyes. And for some reason, that scene tugged my heartstrings. The family has finally come together and has become more unified from before. There's no dialogue in the scene, by the way, but I felt happy, but in like a happy, sad way for the family. Like they lost probably their only source of income, but what matters is that they are stronger now and more unified than ever. Everything that the movie was building up to has come to fruition. Jacob finally prioritizes his family over his work, and Monica has also accepted that Jacob's work is also important to the family. The children also reached the end of their development as they accepted grandma into their home and life, since they really didn't like her at the start. And the film ends with the family rebuilding what they have lost, and shows that they have the intention of staying at the farm. And the last scene is Jacob and David harvesting the Minari that grandma has planted early on in this movie. Okay, so what's my final thoughts on this movie? Go and fucking watch it. The whole movie is an emotional roller coaster and really sheds a light on what Korean/Asian Americans have to face. I give this movie 9 Kirin pats out of I give this movie 9 Kirin pats out of 10 Kirin pats. So thanks for tuning in to the first episode of the GeeView, and make sure to like and subscribe for more episodes in the future. Also, you can follow me on twitch.tv/giraffe to catch my streams and watch me fail at games. Horribly, yes! So I'll catch y'all soon, and in case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Wow, transition! Fucking hell. Alright. Though I gotta say, I'm looking really fabulous today. I'm like, I'm looking good. And Jaden down here, like, boy, you're beautiful, but I am feeling more beautiful today. Ah, yes.